Hello students, in today's session we will cover the topic browning reactions in food. Browning reactions in food, as we all know, are associated with objectionable colors or flavors in food products. But at the same time, in some food products like coffee, chocolates, bread crust, gulab jamun, pera, in all these products they are highly desirable. It becomes a point of concern in food products like canned fruits or vegetables or dried fruits, milk powder, wherein the presence of brown color is highly objected by the consumers. Today I will brief about the overall aspects of browning in food. Let's see the slides. The browning reactions can be broadly categorized into two classes: non-enzymatic browning and enzymatic browning. Non-enzymatic browning is also known as non-oxidative browning. Enzymatic browning is also known as oxidative browning. Non-enzymatic browning is further classified into Maillard browning and caramelization. Coming to the first category of non-enzymatic browning, that is Maillard browning. Maillard browning Coming to Maillard browning, which is one of the type of non-enzymatic browning. Maillard browning involves a reaction between nitrogen atom of an amino compound and carbonyl group of an aldehyde or ketone compound that is present in the food system. And thus we see that the reactants are predominantly the proteins and the reducing sugars. The reaction proceeds with the elimination of a molecule of water to form a Schiff's base, which subsequently rearranges to form N-substituted glycosylamine intermediate. N-substituted glycosylamine intermediate, which is derived from the amino acids, are unstable compounds and they are either hydrolyzed back to the parent amino acid and reducing sugar or react via a spontaneous rearrangement to form the corresponding keto or aldo derivative depending on whether the parent sugar is an aldose or a ketose respectively. The aldo to keto transformation is referred to as the Amedari rearrangement and the corresponding keto to aldo rearrangement is known as the Hennes rearrangement. The Maillard type of browning or the sugar amino type of browning is the most prevalent type of browning in the food products, since it requires relatively lower energy of activation and is autocatalytic in nature. Direct caramelization, on the other hand, has a rather higher energy of activation and therefore it is less important. The degradation of the amino sugar occurs with the loss of one or more molecules of water to give amino or non-amino compounds. Condensation of these compounds formed in the above steps with each other or with other amino compounds gives rise to a brown color pigment called melanoidin. The formation of glycosylamines from the reaction of amino groups and sugar is reversible and the equilibrium is highly dependent on the moisture level. In the next stage, the secondary reactions lead to the formation of diketose amines and the diamino sugars. The ketose amines are decomposed by 1,2-enolization or 2,3-enolization. The former pathway appears to be more important, one for the formation of the brown color, whereas the latter results in the formation of flavored products. The 1,2-enolization pathway leads to the browning but also contributes to the formation of off flavors through the formation of hydroxymethylfurfumarole, which may be a factor in causing off flavors in the stored or the overheated or the dehydrated food products. In the next step, the Schiff's base may lose a protein and a hydroxyl group to yield a new Schiff's base. Both these compounds and 3-deoxyglucose may be transferred into an unsaturated oscillose, and by elimination of a proton and a hydroxyl group, the formation of hydroxymethylfurfumarole takes place. In the last step, the production of 1,2-enol forms of aldose and ketose amines. A series of degradation and condensation results in the formation of a brown color pigment known as melanoidin. These are the reactions, and this is the schematic diagram for the mechanism and pathway of Maillard reaction. Coming to the factors that influence Maillard reaction. The overall rate and products that are developed during Maillard reaction in different food products are highly dependent on the number of parameters which are listed over here. The different parameters include reactants, pH, temperature, moisture content, and water activity. Coming to the first factor, that is the reactants. The nature and the molar concentration of the reacting species have considerable influence on the rate of the reaction and the mechanism of the Maillard reaction. The lower molecular weight reactants, they tend to react more readily than the higher molecular weight reactants. As for example, glucose is more reactive than lactose and contribute to the increased rate of browning in lactose hydrolyzed milk. Next factor, that is pH. The rate of Maillard reaction increases with the increase in pH, and the maximum rate of reaction is around a pH of 9 to 10, which also depends upon the type of amino acid that are involved. Bases can catalyze the initial steps of the carbonyl amine reaction by removing the proton from the nucleophile, increasing the nucleophilicity. The browning of pure amidary product is also accelerated at the alkaline pH value. Maillard browning do not occur in acidic pH because under such conditions, the amino group is protonated and consequently the glycosylamine formation is prevented. Coming to the next factor, that is the moisture content and the water activity of the food system. Both moisture content and the water activity of the food system exerts a major influence on the Maillard reaction. Water may influence the rate of reaction by controlling the viscosity of the liquid phase, or by lowering the concentration, or by diluting the reactants. At a very low water activity, the proportion of the total reactants in the solution is negligible, and therefore the reaction rate is minimum. A relative humidity of 30% has been reported to favor the Maillard reaction. The next factor, that is presence of different factors or different substances. Compounds like phosphate, citrate or phthalate buffers have been shown to accelerate the Maillard reaction. In the pH range of 5 to 7, phosphate has a dramatic effect on the reaction rate, that is, it increases the Maillard reaction to 15 times as compared to that of the phosphate-free system. Then we move on to the next slide, and here we come to the another type of browning, that is the non-enzymatic browning, another category of non-enzymatic browning, that is the caramelization. So caramelization is a type of non-enzymatic browning reaction, and it may be defined as that type of reaction in which the heat decomposition of sugar takes place in absence of amino compounds. It requires higher order of activational energy. The caramelization reaction depends on the type of sugar. For example, sucrose and glucose caramelizes around 160 degrees centigrade, whereas fructose caramelizes at 110 degrees centigrade. Now this process of caramelization consists of heating sugar slowly to around 170 degrees centigrade. Now as the carbohydrates are heated, the molecules break down and reform into compounds with a characteristic brown color and nutty flavor. This process involves a chemical decomposition of the non-protein substances, basically the decomposition of the carbohydrate molecule that occurs spontaneously at a higher temperature, and the reaction is also known as pyrolysis. Caramel, the substance that arises out of this caramelization process, is a dark, bitter tasting liquid. The caramel compound that arises out of caramelization process is being used in food products for food coloring and flavoring in different products like confectionaries or in beverages like Coca-Cola. This compound consists of three main components: caramelin, caramelin and caramelin. Caramelin melts in the range of 136 to 144 degrees centigrade and is soluble in water. Caramelin is darker than caramelin and melts at 153.5 to 154 degrees centigrade. Caramelin is much darker than caramelin or caramelin. Now this caramelin has got three different parts which can be described by the characteristic called solubility. They can be soluble in cold water, they can be soluble in boiling water, and they may even be insoluble in all the ordinary solvents. Codex has defined 4 distinct types of caramel color, like caramel color 1, caramel color 2, caramel color 3, caramel color 4, depending upon the different types of requirement for different food products. The different types of reactions that occurs during the process of caramelization involves sucrose inversion, condensation reaction, the intermolecular reaction, the isomerization, the dehydration reaction, the fragmentation reaction, and the unsaturated polymer formation also occurs during this process of caramelization. The factors that affect or influence the rate of reaction in case of caramelization process involves the quantity of sugar that has been used for this process, the heating time and temperature combination, the type of sugar that has been used for caramelization process, addition or the presence of other ingredients, and the pH of the food system. This is the schematic diagram for caramelization reaction, and the process of caramelization is a poorly understood process and it is a complex phenomena. During caramelization, water molecule is removed from sugar compound due to the process of heating. This further results in isomerization and polymerization of sugar into high molecular weight compounds. The fragmentation reaction of sugar during heating results in low molecular weight compounds that may be volatile and may contribute to the nutty flavor. The polymerization reaction leads to larger molecular weight compound formation that contributes to the dark brown color. Another type of browning reaction that occurs in fruits and vegetables is the enzymatic browning, and this enzymatic browning is also known as the oxidative browning. And enzymatic browning occurs in cut fruits and vegetables when they are exposed to the oxygen of the air. And the main enzymes that are responsible for enzymatic browning are polyphenol oxidase and peroxidase. These enzymes are the oxidoreductase enzymes, and they catalyze the oxidation of the functional hydroxyl group which are attached to the carbon atom of the benzene ring of the monohydroxyphenols, which are converted to orthodihydroxyphenol. And finally, these orthodihydroxyphenols, they are converted to orthoquinones by the process of dehydrogenation. The oxidation of these phenolic compounds to quinones and production of melanin give rise to dark color in the cut fruits and vegetables. The peroxidase enzyme is thermostable enzyme that belongs to the group of oxidases, and it uses hydrogen peroxide as a catalyst for oxidation of the phenolic compounds. And this enzyme is related to the undesirable changes in color, texture, flavor, and also leads to the lowering of the nutritional quality of the foods. The polyphenols, which are the main substrates of these enzymes, they occur in the fruits and vegetables in the form of anthocyanins, in the form of flavonoid compounds, and in the form of non-flavonoid compounds. As already discussed, this slide shows the formation of melanin, that is the brown color pigment, which is formed from the phenolic compound tyrosine. Now, tyrosine, we can see that it gets converted to the quinone compound and finally to the melanin compound through a series of steps. Okay. And this slide shows some of the phenolic substrates that takes place or that participates in the enzymatic browning. And we can see the different type of food items and the phenolic substances that are present in them. So the common phenolic substances that we find in most of the fruits and vegetables or other food products, they are the chlorogenic acid, they are catechol, and they are the catechins, the caffeic acid, the dopa compound, then flavonols are there, cresol compounds are there, and tyrosine is also present. Then in tea, we find that catechins, then cinnamic acid and tannins, they are also present. So these compounds, they take place in the enzymatic browning process. And for prevention of this enzymatic browning, we may adopt a different process or different ways which will prevent the formation of these brown color compounds, and these include the process of blanching. The products may be stored at lower temperature, which will inactivate the enzyme, and also by lowering the pH to less than 4, and then by dehydration or by lowering the water activity, and by adding the inhibiting substances. By heat treatment and application of sulfides, they have been commonly used for inactivating the phenolase enzyme, which mainly participates or which basically catalyzes the reaction. The enzyme is irreversibly inactivated at the pH value of 3 or less, and this can be achieved by addition of sufficient acidulants such as citric acid, malic acid or phosphoric acid. Now, browning reactions can also be prevented by excluding oxygen from the reaction site, which is mainly achieved by immersing the food products in brine or syrup, or by processing under vacuum. So this is all about today's session. Thank you and have a great day.